This is the LZR Project, an episodic story series by David and Alderman. The LZR Project takes place within David's Expired Reality universe and serves as a prequel to the main novels in his Expired Reality series. You can find out more about David's Expired Reality series at davidandalderman.com. Episode number 24, Friday, May 8th, 1998. David rushed into the conference room and set an armful of pulse rifles on the oak table. Everyone gets one, and I want everyone to make sure they have an earpiece so we can communicate with each other. Carrie and Veronica each grabbed a rifle, while Sean rolled out a map of Lysallis across the table. Look for the most populated district closest to us, David told him. Sean pointed his finger at a spot on the map. The Pleasure District is probably the most populated. Then that's where they'll hit, David said. He headed back to the armory, adrenaline fueling his feet and his mind. With the bomb defused, David and Veronica thought the crisis was averted, until Ridley contacted them and urged them to return to the project as soon as possible. After a run-in with a member of the Corolex gang, Ridley told her team that she had figured out what the gang's next move was going to be. By setting the bomb, by killing the girl, the gang had effectively routed all of the city's police force to the other side of Lysallis. She figured, and David agreed, that it was to leave this end of the city open for a full-scale attack. With the theft of the armored truck and the heavy weaponry, it was easy to assume that they were going to target highly populated areas that they could run and gun through. David reached the armory and pulled a few bulletproof vests and some pulse pistols off the racks. He headed back to the conference room just as the soft white lighting overhead quickly changed to red, bathing the hallway in an eerie glow. He set the vests and pistols on the table. "What is that?" "I believe that's the alarm only the security guard in the lobby has access to," Ridley answered. She put her hands to her head and adjusted the thick gauze she had wrapped around her head wound. The bleeding had stopped, but David was still concerned if Ridley would be able to make it through the rest of the evening without passing out. "Wait a minute," Sean said, strapping on a vest. "Don't tell me that the Corolex gang would try to attack us head-on." "That's exactly what they're doing," David finished. "It makes sense now. They have the police on one end of the city. They take us out on this end, and they have the entire middle portion to run rampant in without any interference." Carrie and Veronica slid on their vests, as did David. Ridley slammed her fists on the table. "Guys, we have to stop them here. If we can hold them off, at least stall them until our units can come from the other side of town, then we stand a chance." Roger shuffled into the room. "That's debatable. I have a very small group of officers on the way already. I want David and Sean to head to the Pleasure District and mount forces there. The rest of us will stay here and defend the building." David picked up one of the pulse pistols and shoved it into the holster on his belt. "I'm not going anywhere, Roger." Sean rolled a chair out into the hallway and came back a few seconds later rolling another one out. "What are you doing?" Carrie asked, checking the charge on her pulse rifle. Sean stopped in the doorway and addressed all of them. "Guys, if we blockade the entrance and fall back to our offices, we can funnel them down the hallways. That will make them easier to pick off. Set a few pulse mines along the way, and we can seriously put a dent in their offense before we even come face to face with them." David nodded. "Good strategy. Let's go with that. And hurry, they'll be here any minute." Roger huffed. "I told you and Sean to go to the Pleasure District." Ridley left the office and came back with her laptop. She set it on the table and began typing commands into it. "I'll shut down the elevators and stairwells to slow them down." Veronica grabbed a handful of pulse cartridges from the table. "Carrie and I will head to our offices with extra ammunition. We'll need it if that's going to be our fallback point." David nodded as Carrie took up an armful of pulse mines. She and Veronica left the room while Roger stood by the doorway glaring at David. "What do you want, Roger?" David asked. "We're kind of crunched for time if you didn't notice." "I gave you a direct order. Your assignment at the hotel is over and done with, meaning Ridley is no longer your boss. You answered to me. I want you and Sean to take your pulse weaponry and head to the Pleasure District before innocent lives are lost. Now." Ridley looked up from her laptop. "Roger, we don't have time to deal with your corporate bullshit right now. Our objective is to defend ourselves from this attack. David and Sean wouldn't be able to get out of the building anyway, let alone get to the Pleasure District in time to stop anything. Whatever the Corolex gang has been planning has begun, and we have to take it one step at a time." "I didn't ask for your opinion, Ridley, and that is just your opinion because you're no longer in charge." Sean rushed into the conference room and grabbed some of the pulse pistols from the table. "We don't have much time," he reminded them. "I'll move these to my office." David nodded. "Remember, Sean, this is no kill. Stun them, and then we can drag them into the holding room when this is over." Sean grinned. "I know." David narrowed his eyes on him. In the last couple of days, Sean had become more chipper and more cooperative. David couldn't pinpoint if it was because Sean was genuinely trying to turn his insubordinate attitude around, or if it was because he was up to something. "What?" Sean asked. "Nothing," David answered. Sean shrugged and left toward the back offices. David started toward the door of the conference room, but Roger shuffled into the doorway and blocked his way. "You could try to ignore me all you want, David, but in the end, I'll have the last word. The president isn't here to protect you right now." Ridley shot up from her chair and pulled the pistol from her hip. "Get out of the doorway, Roger. We don't have time for this. I swear I'll shoot your fat ass to oblivion if you don't move and let David do his job. I just shut down the elevators and the stairwell, but it doesn't mean I did it before they could get up here. We have to take arms and get ready to fight. That includes you." Roger stared at Ridley. David couldn't tell if his face was turning red because of the crimson lighting filling the room or because of his rage. The man said nothing as he shuffled out of the doorway, allowing David to pass. "David, defend Carrie, Veronica, and Sean," Ridley ordered. "I'll try and hold them off in the lobby." David turned into the hallway and stopped abruptly when he spotted an unfamiliar figure at the other end, near the door only accessible by their ID cards. The door was open, and through the wash of red lighting, David could barely tell that the figure was a man. He was peering into the other conference rooms, carrying a large assault rifle in his hands. David ducked into the conference room and quietly shut the door. He motioned for Ridley and Roger to keep quiet. Ridley dashed to the door and waited beside it, pistol in hand. Roger made his way to the laptop and sat down. "We have someone in the hallway," Carrie whispered in his earpiece. "I know," David replied softly. Gunfire echoed through the hallway outside the conference room door. David cracked the door open and reached his arm out, firing his pulse pistol blindly. Groans were heard, and David opened the door and stepped into the corridor. He found the man on the floor, knocked out. Ridley entered the hallway, her pistol drawn and aimed toward the open door leading to the lobby. "How did they access a hallway without an ID card?" "I don't know," David answered. "Maybe they have a hacker on their team." "Or maybe this is an inside job," Ridley suggested. "Either way, there's sure to be more of them." "Maybe," David said. "What do you mean? There's more than one member of the Corolex gang." "I honestly think this is all a distraction meant to keep us in this building," David said. "I think Roger may have been partly right. We should get to the roof and take that helicopter to the Pleasure District. All of us." Ridley and David reached the lobby and found it to be empty. "David?" Carrie screamed into his earpiece. David pulled the communicator out of his ear and steadied himself from the ringing in his head. He put the piece back in and started with Ridley toward the back offices. "What is it?" he asked. "The Pleasure District," she said. David and Ridley joined Carrie, Veronica, and Sean in David's office where the three of them were staring out the window toward downtown Lysallis. David's heart fell when he saw the towering flames, engulfing a portion of the Pleasure District in the distance. "This can't be happening," Ridley whispered. The street below erupted in red lights as fire engines and ambulances fought through traffic to get to the blazing district. "How did they set the city ablaze this quickly?" Veronica asked. "It looks like the entire district is burning." David's cell phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out to see who it was. Unavailable. "I have a bad feeling about this," Ridley said. David answered his phone. "Hello? David Corbin?" "Mr. Big." "You seem surprised. Were you expecting the Corolex gang?" "Actually," David said, "I was." "I imagine you are watching the Pleasure District go up in flames," Mr. Big asked. "Yeah, I am." "Of course, the Corolex gang couldn't have done that by themselves." Mr. Big let the comment hang, expecting David to fill in the space between the lines. "You did this?" David asked. "You set the Pleasure District on fire?" Ridley turned toward David, gritting her teeth. "You tell that fat slob to confront us face to face, and we'll see how powerful he really is." "I didn't set the Pleasure District on fire just because," Mr. Big said. "I did it to destroy the Corolex gang. I did it to prove to you, David, what kind of results violence can bring. Most of the gang were hiding in the buildings in the district, ready to strike. I simply struck first. The district will no doubt burn to the ground, but the Corolex gang will be no more. I've solved your problem for you." "I can't believe this," David said. "You didn't solve anything. You only destroyed the Pleasure District." "If I hadn't put a stop to the Corolex gang when I did," Mr. Big said, "they would have overran the entire city, including the precious building you are hiding in. Tell me, David, if the LZR Project was set up to protect the city, why are you all hiding out in your headquarters while the Pleasure District is being raped by a gang that was supposed to have died out months ago?" David gazed out at the burning district, knowing there was nothing he could do about it now. The Pleasure District would burn to the ground, taking with it whoever was unfortunate enough to be caught in its flames. "You're welcome, David." I'm going to come after you, Big. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to put a stop to you once and for all. I'm sure you will, he said, but not tonight. Tonight, I am the hero. I am the one who saved Lysallis both from the seedy underbelly that is the Pleasure District and the Corolex gang. 2 birds with 1 stone. Get some sleep, David. You deserve it. We'll have another lesson shortly. No more of your stupid lessons, David screamed. The call dropped. He threw his phone at the window, creating a spiderweb of cracks within the double-paned surface. Veronica attempted to put her hand on his shoulder, but he pulled away. We did what we could, she said. It wasn't enough, Ridley replied. David shook his head. It never is. Thank you for listening to the LZR Project. If you are interested in reading more of David's Expired Reality series, please check out the author's webpage at davidnalderman.com.